Welcome to The Fashion Department, a podcast that will explore the world of fashion and how it informs all aspects of life, from dress to lifestyle to food and travel. From stylists to designers to influencers to shop owners, you'll hear the latest scoop du jour. And now let me introduce you to your fabulous host, Tina Bricoli, a Greenwich, Connecticut-based wardrobe stylist and radio show personality. With over 20 years in the fashion industry, Tina will share her take on style, trends, the business of fashion, and her sartorial sense. Here's your host.
Hello, and welcome to the Fashion Department. We are back in studio with my guest from Pologeorgis. I have Joan Nathenas. Did I say it right?
You said it right.
I love it. I love saying it. She is the designer at Pologeorgis, and she's obviously family. She's part of the Pologeorgis family, and she's here to talk about all things creative and what she does in the store and in the showroom and all of the history. And so your brother Nick was here last season with Jenny, who runs your PR, and he had lots of stories to tell, which I loved. But I notice your stories are slightly different, meaning like to me, I think I like to hear how your brain works. And I'm getting that. Like you're saying how you design stuff and you sketch and you might reset. I find that very interesting. His stories were interesting too because of like who he met when. Yeah. But you've met a few people. Anyone come to mind that stood out?
I met Stevie Wonder, which is really exciting. We've met Elizabeth Hurley. And I've met people in the showroom. Nick has always met them. Brooke Shields. I liked working with the designers when I really get to meet the designers.
Ah, right.
So, I mean, we did a lot of work with Michael Kors. And I remember one of my favorite stories was they let me come to a day of looks before their fall fashion show because I was there.
Oh, my God. I would be in heaven. Okay, explain what that entails.
So they're like, Joan, we want you to come for looks because we don't know what kind of closures we want in the coats, which we want to choose the right buttons. And I'm like, really?
Because you're designing the furs for the collection. Okay.
They're designing, manufacturing, producing them.
Right,
so I was like, I'm going to come to looks. They're like, yeah, because it's going to be so fluid that we don't know where we're putting these. And then we want you to be organized. I said, okay, great. I walk into his showroom. I mean, it was amazing because like the tabletops were covered with like stacks of sweaters. Like they had everything they developed for that fall show out on like the tables, shoes laid out on the floor.
A whole collection.
Amazing. Like I walked in, I'm like, oh my God, look at all these clothes. Like the dresses are all lined up. The pants are all lined up. And like, they're like changing looks and everyone's there working like whatever. There could be the VP of like retail and all the small, like younger designers that work beneath him. And the handbag designers are there. And like the shoe designers are all there. And they're all like just putting looks on models and like styling them at the time. And they're like, how about this belt? No. How about this belt? No, those shoes are no good. Put these shoes.
Like the Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah.
Is heaven.
It was one of my funnest experiences. I mean, it was always fun to go to fashion shows with a lot of different designers.
Yep.
And we've had like really a lot of fun working with the designers.
Right.
Like I remember Zach Posen came to our showroom and he was literally like draping like in our showroom to come up with like a new idea of something. And
oh my God. So to me, I mean, that first of all, that sounds like heaven. I would be like, okay, I have died and I'm in heaven.
It was so
and
much
this
fun.
is what heaven looks like to me. Just clothes everywhere and shoes and people working in a buzz. Because I find that very inspirational. And it was like, that must have been
like
so cool.
Ralph Rucci came in and like, I loved working. I mean, we still work with him, and he literally wanted to hand paint the back of his furs. So he was out in our factory, just puts on like a lab coat and just starts painting the back of his coats.
Oh my gosh! So speaking of painting something, I was thinking in my head how things have changed and things that we see now, we have either haven't seen or have seen before, and it seems a little different. In the ready-to-wear world, things are always changing, but I feel like designers often look back to move forward.
Yes.
Often. We always refer to the archives.
Of course.
And we do see new things every now and again. I feel like nowadays it's more about the technology and the fabrication of it. Not really a new silhouette. Like I can't remember the last time I said, oh, that's a new silhouette. It's usually something you've seen before, but it's how it's made and the textile used. But in the fur industry, I would think there's less of that, right? Do you think it's changed much?
There are some things have changed. I mean, in the past, like we work with this designer, Zandra Rhodes, who's she was originally a graphic designer. She was like the punk,
She's British, right?
right?
Zandra Rhodes,
Like
yes.
she was like the princess of punk. She had stores on Madison Avenue, and
Yes.
she's all about her prints.
Right.
And when we first started working with her, we didn't digitally print on the back side of like a shearling or a mink that's made like a shearling with the suede on the other side. She had them screen printed, and she used to laugh because we used to work with this company. And she's like, "Oh, we're going to the roller skating queens, princesses, factory." Because women would like run around her factory on roller skates, and then Sandra would go there and like make sure she'd place everything out in the right part of the furs when she first met her. And then, as time went forward, like a couple of years ago, we did bring back her old prints on garments, but now like we literally had it digitally printed on the backside of shearling. It wasn't the same where it was like a screen print.
Right.
Or she hand painted. She used to hand paint
Wow.
the suede back furs or even linings. She would hand paint them for clients.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about artistry.
That was like the biggest things that changed to me.
Okay.
It was like we went from like hand painting to then like a screen print to like a digital print on a shearling.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, it's always kind of moving forward.
But the way things are made, they're made the same.
They're made the same. One thing I know that has never really changed in the fur industry, and again, this goes back, you can speak, I'm sure, very well to this, being in the industry your whole life. Your dad started the company, right, in the 60s, and really seems like he was that pioneer of forging the relationships between the fur industry and designers. And one thing that has always been consistent was the buzzword right now is sustainability. Right. So you say fur industry has always been sustainable. I love this, but tell us why that is.
So when you make a fur coat, there's always leftover pieces. Just like if you make a wool coat, there's leftover scraps.
Right.
So in the fur industry, we either, like say there's pieces left over. If they're big enough pieces, sometimes we patchwork things together. And you can see it. You'll see a lot of upcycled pieces on my website. So if the pieces are big enough, we actually blend the colors together and we make like a very pretty like jacket that there could be blue here and then gray here. And we just kind of like brick it.
Right.
And you see it's multicolored, but it's because of those are the leftover pieces from previous collections. We also will make earmuffs from, the leftover scraps. But the biggest thing is all the small pieces. And this is like interesting. People come and buy it by the pound.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yes, because they literally will match everything. So they buy from like all manufacturers. And what they do is they piece all the pieces together. So they buy it by the pound.
Is this like a designer's coming in or just?
No, it's like another factory or like they can be like a vendor of supply.
Right. I'm not assuming like the average Susie's coming in and buying.
No.
So I was like, that'd be a lot of work.
And they literally make something that's usually like 46 inches by like 88 inches or 86 inches, and they piece them all together.
Oh my gosh.
And then somebody like me, even though I sold them those little pieces by the pound,
right,
I buy them and then I make garments out of them.
Wow.
So every piece, gets used and gets bought. So like we don't waste anything. And then, obviously furs, biodegradable.
Right.
So it always will disintegrate and it won't like sit in a landfill for 1,000 years long.
Right. That is truly the full circle of recycle. So having said that, that leads me to my next question. Why do you think it's important because there's this, huge thing like faux fur, vegan leather, faux fur. I understand. PETA, don't kill me. I get it. I understand and respect people for,
their own opinions
and what you believe in. But let's really talk about or at least break down why it's important to invest in quality outerwear versus faux fur. I'm not saying that it's for everyone, and I understand that everyone has a budget, but why it's important to invest, if you're between the two, why should you invest in a quality outerwear piece versus fast fashion? Like, what exactly is fast fashion?
Fast
fur
fashion
industry.
For the fur industry are the faux furs.
Right.
So they tend to look a little sad afterwards. But because even if they're trying to make them from like natural fabrics, there's always a plastic in them. Right. They have it like they try to be like, oh, well, it's wool, but then it's which is still an animal, some of them but they back it in leather not leather, like a plastic, a faux
Plastic,
leather.
right.
To make it look like, say, a shearling.
Right.
But then the wool part's biodegradable, but the backside isn't. And then there's the acrylics and, all the mod acrylics, faux furs, and they're just not biodegradable. They're just going to sit there.
And one of the most important things is you can't wear it in the rain.
No,
right?
I would think not.
You look like a wet bath mat.
Yeah.
I mean, not that you really
And they don't last. So even
Right.
if you're buying a faux fur, and even if, I'm not even sure how much they cost, truthfully, but
Right.
you're still investing, but it's
Right.
there's no longevity to it.
Right. Well, there's definitely a price range. I mean, I've seen, really, really cheap where I'm like, oh my God, to touch it, it just feels gross. To something like, oh, this actually, and I've owned faux fur over the years that feels nice for what it is. And at that time, that's what I wanted and that's what I
Right.
bought. I don't do that anymore, but I don't do that with any of my clothing anymore. It's really more of a conscious effort and a much better shopper. I should be for considering what I do.
Right.
But, I'm always the guilty one. I would never take my own advice. But nowadays, I'm a much smarter shopper. I think everyone is and should be. But there's those pieces that do feel close to real. Sometimes
Right.
you're like, oh, that's actually feels nice. It doesn't feel horrible. But I think people get caught up thinking like, well, this is better.
They feel it's better, but then
Right.
there's always two sides. But what are you doing to the earth?
Right.
Because
right.
those aren't going anywhere.
Right. And not that you want to wear your real fur in the rain, but if it got caught in the rain, it wouldn't.
Just shake it out a little, and
Right.
it's good.
Because animals get wet, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay. You shake it out and it work. And as opposed to, again, what you look like if you're wearing faux fur and it gets wet. It's like,
I don't know what that looks like.
oh, I do. I've seen it. It's not good. It's like a wet bath mat, I always say. I'm like, it just looks like you're wearing a It's terrible.
Yeah.
Like, why? And then it's like, well, and you're right. How long does that last? Especially if it's like a colored faux fur, and something that's super trendy. All right, let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about the Greenwich location. And the website too. I want to talk about what you carry. We talked about furs, talked about shearlings. You have menswear, correct?
We have some menswear, yes.
Okay. Women's wear, we have home accessories.
Home accessories, home decor. On the web. On the web, we have everything. We have the men's,
Okay.
we have women's, we have all our accessories, earmuffs, hats, gloves, scarves, handbags,
Okay. And that's
blankets.
and it's Pologeorgis.com. It's a website, right? Also on Instagram. I don't think I gave out the handle yet. It's Pologeorgis, right?
Pologeorgis,
At
yeah.
Pologeorgis. And it's funny, right before we started taping this episode, I said to Joan, I love that name. I've always loved Greek names. I said it has the word polo in it. And George, which is like a strong male name. And, it's like Pologeorgis. And then you said to me.
It started from like Paul being George's son.
Yeah. Which I think is so cool. I love that. I was like, oh, very cool. So, by the way, how long have you worked there?
Well, since I was in college.
Since you were in college.
Yeah, because
but
I was-
officially designer after college.
After college.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So when you first started, what did your dad have you do? Like, did you want to do certain things, or was he say you're in charge of this, Joan?
I feel like just because it's a family business, we always just ran around. They wanted to teach me everything. So like literally, they'd be like, these are the production books. You need to learn how to follow these codes through. And I'd be like, okay, like you got to take care of these books. I'm like, okay. And then they're like, okay, now, it's wholesale season. Come in the showroom. We don't have a model today. Come put the coats on.
Wow.
I'm like, okay.
Well,
that was like a humbling experience when I first did it.
Well, that makes sense. You need to know all aspects of the business. And then obviously you do the designing and your brother Nick does the sales end of it, right? Okay. But you also do the styling of the photo shoots, right? Or
I
you
work with the stylist, yeah.
Which I think is very cool. I know I stopped in there recently and you and Jenny, who does your PR, mentioned you guys did like how many looks? It was like 40
We
looks?
did like 55 looks.
In one day.
In one day with 2 models.
That's insane. By the way, being a stylist and I used to do editorial shoots, here and there, and that's a lot.
Well, it's a lot. And we like literally worked on it for a week.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
But we had a good team and
Yeah. I always say if you're organized, you can do everything in a day.
it's amazing. We start at 7:30 and by 5:30 we're done.
Yeah.
And we break for lunch too. We even get to eat.
Right.
We have to feed everybody.
Right. Of course.
When I think about how much we go through, I'm like, how do we do that.
But you got it all done.
Yeah, it was great.
So anything new up and coming on the website? Your newest collection is up. And it's in stores too, right?
It's in stores.
Okay. And anything exciting new coming up?
Well, we're going to be working, and I guess you would know, we're going to have an event in Greenwich with the Red Cross.
Yes,
November 29th.
Yes. And I will be there.
And Tina will be there.
Yes.
And we're also starting something new, and we're putting it on our website. We're working with industry insiders. And we're, like Tina said, she had some of her coats on her Instagram.
Yep.
And we are... I'm not even sure how to say it. Like, we're promoting it on our website, and we're working closely with everyone to see what, it helps us realize what someone like Tina, especially because she is a stylist, what people are interested in wearing and what they're interested in buying and how to use them.
Right.
So I just think it's like really interesting to see, like, you might like one piece, but maybe the next person we work with will choose something totally different. And I think it helps us realize what people out there really are interested in, especially when they have a fashion background. It's definitely more helpful.
Yeah, so basically we're called an insider industry. Industry Insider. I knew I'd screw that up. It's basically like an ambassador for the brand.
Right.
I like to refer, if I say that, I feel like
that makes more sense.
Yeah, I feel like people understand, but I like the name Industry Insider better. I think it's cooler because everybody says ambassador now, but you understand it when you say it. And I was so flattered when you guys came and, it was invited to be a part of this program as there's some other girls that I admire and love their style. So I think it's really great that we all have our own thing. We all kind of have our own niche. And I think that it's cool to see how different people style different things. And like you said, what pieces people gravitate towards, So,
and that's helpful. You like to know what people gravitate towards.
Yeah, and I, at first I was a little nervous, like, oh gosh, well, I'm clearly not a model. And I remember your PR person Sarah said to me, no, we want like everyday people like you. And I thought, well, actually that makes sense because then someone I think could say like, oh, well, Tina wears it, and I know her height and her style. I like it or don't like it, or I like this person's style aesthetic, and so I like how she styles it, or the next ambassador, industry insider. So I think it's fun. I mean, it's really fun. I've shot a couple of coats now. You'll be seeing on my Instagram and on my website. And there was one, the blue one. It's not one I normally would gravitate towards or I would wear, but I loved that navy coat. It's a silhouette that I never wear because it's kind of like an
A-line?
An A-line, yeah. I was going to say like a swing coat, but it's shorter. But once I put it on and I styled it, I looked at the photos and I was like, that coat's gorgeous. And I think it was just in how I styled it. So I got to try something that I normally wouldn't have
picked.
Yeah, wouldn't have picked. And even my husband said, that coat is so pretty. And I said, yeah. And it's, when I looked at it on the hanger, I'm like, oh, I don't normally wear that kind. I think I'm the worst person when it comes to that because I am a stylist. Like, no, I wear this, this, and this. And I always tell my clients opposite. Don't say that. Don't be so, don't be so narrow-minded. You got to try new things. But I did, and I loved it. So yeah. So looking forward to how this is going. This is going to be.
It's very exciting.
Yeah, and you have an event, and the event is at the Greenwich store on the 29th, and it is
going to benefit the
Red Cross
of the North. I don't know your chapter.
Yes, I should know this. Greater Northeast.
Yes,
Greater New York.
Greater Northeast, I think.
Yeah, I think it is something like Greater New York, something like that. But it is benefiting the Red Cross, and you'll be making donations to the Red Cross. Yeah, on all purchases. But more importantly, stop in and see us. You'll be there, yeah?
I'll be there.
I'll be there, and it'll be fun. We'll be styling and trying on pieces, and it'll be a fun night. But if you don't make it, be sure to check out the website. Again, it's pologeorgis.com. And my website as well, because I will be featuring a few pieces. I have some things in the pipeline, some blog posts coming on. Oh, here's a good teaser. I believe it's November. Yeah, Thanksgiving post where I'm wearing the black feathers.
Oh, that's fun.
Yes. So Joan has seen the photos, and they've been edited, they're uploaded, and just working on the copy now. So that's going to be my Thanksgiving Day post, I think. So I've styled black feathers, and I love it because it's not fur, but it's texture and it's fun. And if you think like, oh, feathers, like people would think like, oh, that's so fancy or dressy. I have it paired with a denim skirt.
That's the best thing. Because you can glam it up, or you can just wear it like it. It looks great.
Wear it with jeans. And I loved wearing that jacket. I was like, this is so fun. It just was, I got stopped by so many people when we were taking those photos too. Like, what is that? As they got closer, like, oh, it's feathers. And I said, yeah.
You know what? Olivia Palmera, who is, a big fashion icon for a lot of people.
Yes.
She last year got a long black feather coat we had.
Oh.
And last year she wore it to Paris, and she was totally like glammed up. She looked beautiful.
Yeah.
And then recently she posted it again, and she was just wearing it with jeans and like a button down or something. Down. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's
so easy. Yeah.
So easy. I'd wear that with furs as well, because I always say like the outerwear piece, the piece that you're putting on the coat or the jacket, that's the first thing people see and the last thing people see, right? When you walk in and out of a room. So it almost doesn't matter what you're wearing underneath. Like if you're going to make a statement, you do it with your outerwear.
Coat. There you go.
Right.
That's why it's a statement coat.
That's right. Love it. All right. So on most of my shows, I like to play a little game with my guests.
Okay.
And it's game time for you.
Uh-oh.
Now I didn't give her warning, so don't worry, it's super easy. I know. I played this with Nick too. So we're just playing this or that. That's all. You just have to pick whichever word. I'll give you 2 words, and you pick whichever one resonates with you, or whichever one you like or like to see, okay? So this is winter edition. Okay. This or that. Are you ready?
Okay.
No wrong answer.
No wrong answer.
No, she's nervous. Okay, this or that winter edition. I'll start off easy. Mink or sable?
For me, mink.
Yes, for you. Okay, mink. Plaid or floral?
Plaid.
Leather or suede?
I guess leather.
Black or navy?
Black.
A lot of people really have strong opinions.
I do
about
like
that.
navy, though. I do. I like both.
But black and navy, I feel
black
like
and navy is good together.
It is good, right? Velvet or satin?
Satin.
Okay. Sequins or matte?
Matte.
Mittens or gloves?
Gloves. I don't really wear either.
Well, I feel like most people are like I never wear mittens or I love mittens.
But the funny part is we have like a lot of shearling mittens that we sell them so well.
By the way, a side note, I own a pair that I love. I have the fingerless gloves.
The fingerless gloves.
They're mink, right?
Yeah.
They're pink. I love them. First of all, they keep your hands really warm.
And you can still text.
Or drive.
Or drive because you have your fingers free.
I was like thinking, I've had fingerless gloves in the past, but they were just like knit. And I was like, my fingers end up being cold because they're exposed.
These are toasty.
They were not.
No.
Oh my God. And I love them. And they're so soft. And they're in fun colors. Okay. Back to the game. Puffer jacket or wool overcoat?
Wool overcoat.
Ski vacation or beach vacation?
Beach vacation.
I knew she was going to say that. You're Greek.
I'm Greek.
I know. Nick said the same. Hot cocoa or hot toddy?
Hot cocoa, truthfully.
Okay, because you could always spike it.
Yeah.
Boozy hot chocolate. And build a fire or build a snowman?
Oh, build a fire.
Agree. You're my kind of girl. See, that's it. It was easy peasy.
That was easy.
All right, Joan. Well, thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it was lovely. And once again, the Instagram handle is @Pologeorgis. The website's pologeorgis.com. Make sure you stop in and see us at the Greenwich store.
Especially November 29th when we're benefiting the Red Cross.
Yes, absolutely. When you're benefiting the Red Cross. And if all else fails, make sure you check out the website. And you got to invest in a fur.
That's right. Keep you toasty.
Okay. Thanks. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me in the fashion department. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. For more inspiration and fashion content, check out my website and follow along on Instagram @Tina_the Fashion Stylist. And a special thanks to the Factory Underground Studio for recording and producing this show. See you next time.